No doubt about it. Hey, let's go straight down to the Lions headquarters down in Allen Park. Voice of the Lions, Fox 2 Sports Director Dan Miller. You can watch us 2 to 4 weekdays on fox2detroit.com and the Fox Local app. How you doing, Dan?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Is the sky falling in Allen Park, or is that just the echoes from the peanut gallery?
I think it's the echoes from the peanut gallery. I mean, look, there's ups and downs to an NFL season. They got some work to do, and losing 2 out of 3 is tough this time of year. But when you look at what happened Monday night when Green Bay lost to a 4-8 team, Miami lost to a 4-8 team, and Green Bay made mistakes and Miami made mistakes. Miami blew a 13-point lead in the final, 3.5 minutes, something like that. These things do happen. It's how you react to it, like Braylon was just talking about. You know, what are you going to do? Are you going to be able to fix things, or do you let this thing snowball? And I think that's where, you're 2 up with 4 to play. You're in a great position. You wouldn't trade with anybody in this division, and everybody would die to trade with you. So you got to figure out a way to come out and take care of the things that have been hurting them lately and just get in there and start winning.
Dan, I'm gonna approach these fans of a team that is 9-4 for the first time in their existence and how overreacting they are. Am I correct to say they put unfair expectations on Jared Goff? Because aren't these the same fans that said everything had to be perfect for Jared Goff to have success, and now he's missing very key people on his offense, and all of a sudden things aren't going necessarily the right way, and now they want to get rid of Jared Goff? Aren't these the same people that haven't even seen a playoff win, but now they expect the Lions to win the Super Bowl 6 weeks ago? Is it unfair expectations on this team from the fan base?
I don't think it's any different here, Braylon, than it is anywhere. I think that when you play once a week and you only play 17 times a year, that everything is heightened. Yeah. I mean, just think about the different feel that you have from a win to a loss and how things are. And look, Jared would be the first to tell you that recently he hasn't played as well as he did at times earlier this year. The turnovers have been the difference between this team winning and losing, really going back to last season. So, I think fans riding hot and cold. They're high and low. They ride the roller coaster in the season. And Dan Campbell has talked a million times about the fact that you can't ride that roller coaster. And Jared said to me once earlier this year when I brought that up to him, he said, people outside the building ride that. We don't ride that. We can't ride that. And Braylon, you know that. If you allow yourself to get sucked into everything that is emotional and tied to the NFL, whether you win or lose, man, you're not going to survive. You can't. You got to shut it out, concentrate on your job, and get in there and just do what you're capable of doing and try to fix the things that have gone wrong. But I honestly don't think it's any different here than it is anyplace else. You think people aren't freaking out in Philadelphia right now where they've given up, 36 points a game in the last 2 weeks? I bet you they are, for a team that had 1 loss 2 weeks ago.
Absolutely.
Hey, Dan, one of the areas that this team certainly can improve is the third quarter. There's a lot been made of it. Offensively, in the last 4 games, 12 possessions, 5 punts, 3 fumbles, an interception, a turnover on downs, a field goal, and a touchdown. In the last 12 possessions. What are they not doing coming out of the locker room, do you think, offensively? Because that's a consistent thing over time that they're not getting done.
No, I agree with you. And Ryan, honestly, if I had the answer, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you.
You'd be running into Ben Johnson.
This is true.
I'd be sitting out there on the field at practice right now. I don't know. And it's a fair question because it is a concern. And, you look at – they were right on schedule coming out of halftime in that game against the Bears the other day. Slow start, come back, take the lead, 13-10, got the ball to start the third quarter, exactly where they wanted. And, this team, as we've known it, is an explosive offensive team, but they go 3 and out turnover in that third quarter, and then you look up and you're behind in the game. So I don't have the answer, and it's clear they don't have the answer at this point. So the answer really is that you don't have to change anything. You have to execute. We know this team, when they don't turn it over and when they go out there and run the play like it's supposed to be run, is really difficult to stop. But for some reason, and I think it's easier to overreact to it than it is to just say, you know what, we know who we are. Just need to go out there and play um, when it comes to all this third quarter stuff. But look, I've seen Ben Johnson asked about it. I've seen the look in his eyes. I know it's bothering the hell out of him, and they got to get it figured out. But I do think there is a danger in trying to change your personality and who you are. I think it's more about just, you know what, we know who we are. We know what we're capable of. Let's just go out there and execute, run the plays, and move up and down the field. And that's really what this team has to try to get back to. And hopefully the offensive line will be back this week, and Ragnow will be okay. We'll have to wait and see on that, but seems to be trending in the right direction. He's back out there, listed as limited yesterday. He is out there today. I just walked in, and that's a place to start. And then just find your identity again, man. Get back to that running game that sets up the passing game and see if you can find that explosiveness again. And if you can do that, these things will take care of themselves. But we can make this so complicated if we want to.
Yeah.
But the fact is, what you're asking this team to do, what these fans are asking this team to do, what Dan Campbell's asking this team to do, isn't anything different than they've already done. We know what they're capable of. Just get back to that. Find a way to get back to the team that is clean with the football, doesn't commit penalties that gives the other team extra possessions or puts yourself behind the downsticks. The difference between winning and losing for the Detroit Lions since 1-6 last year has not been hard to figure out. Mostly, save for maybe the Baltimore game and the Carolina game, it's been self-inflicted errors.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan, I won't. You know how I always bring up the free agents, so I won't go down that road.
Please.
Today, I won't
Thank
tell you
you
how good Montez Sweat has made that Chicago Bear defense. I'll move on and say, can you tell me about?
Are you going to give me your elevator pitch for Ndamukong Suh?
No, I'm not. I'm
He's
not.
done that for an hour already.
He's still out there. I know he's not gonna come here. I understand all of that. I'm over it, Dan. I'm over it. They're 9-4. I can't complain too much. All right, they're gonna get a win this Saturday. That's all I know. So let me ask you about. What am I supposed to understand as a Lions fan when I hear my coach talk very slowly and very thoughtfully about our number one pick from last year, Jamison Williams, how he's improving and how he's starting to get it, and what am I missing here? He gets one reverse a week, they throw him one pass, and that's all she wrote. Can you tell me why?
I can't. I don't have an answer for why he's not a bigger part of the offense right now. I will say this to Dan Campbell's point. He's way more comfortable now than he was 9 games ago. You've seen him downfield blocking. His route running seems to be better. I cannot explain to you why he's not more involved in getting the ball more often. I'd be making it up. I don't have an answer. I mean, I defer to Braylon. Braylon played the position and knows more about game plans and progressions and things like that. I will simply tell you, look, the grand idea that we had that he was going to be the 12th pick and come in here and become Tyreek Hill right away, clearly that's gone. We're looking for steps now. We're looking for progression, that he's getting better, that he's catching passes, and there have been some signs of that, but I get the angst about the fact that it's not more in terms of production and catching passes and blowing the top off defense. I get it. I don't have an answer for you right now. I don't know what it is, and I just know I like what I see from him. I was sitting out there on the indoor field the other day, last week, I think it was Thursday, and I just watched Teddy Bridgewater throwing him footballs. Low, high, everywhere, all over the place. And he's just in there working. So that's all I can ask of him right now, and I'm confident at some point that offense is going to find him, and they're going to figure some things out. The tough thing is, they've lost 2 or 3, but before that, you're 8-2. And people aren't necessarily asking as many questions about it. The fact is, you just got to win. And if he's part of that, and if he's adding to that, that's great. But guys, I look, we're all watching the same thing. We all want the same thing. I don't have the answers as to why it's not a bigger piece of the puzzle for him right now. like I said, and I want to stress this, the only thing that I can say is I like what I'm seeing from him, and that's where it starts.
And then I actually agree with you 100% about that. And it just sucks in a situation like this where they're trying to build trust with him in his first real season. Then they're losing games towards the end. So now it's about trust. Now it's about spots. Now it's about them trying to fight for the playoff. So now they can't necessarily work him easily in. So I definitely agree with you on that. I want to turn the table a little bit, and this will be the last thing from us. A positive note. How good is it to see Dan Campbell at the podium in situations like this versus in 2021 where he's changing his hat and going back and forth, and you see the unconfidence at the podium. You see 2022, the first 6 games. He looks very different now. He's gone through 2 losses in the last 2 weeks. But he doesn't seem like the same coach from 2 years ago. Talking about the confidence that Dan Campbell exudes now.
You know, it's funny, Braylon, that you bring that up because I was kind of watching him earlier this week going into a big game that I know is important to him against one of his mentors. And I was just looking at him, and in my mind, I'm just thinking, I'm looking for changes. I'm looking for a coach. Does he feel the pressure? Is this getting to him in any way, shape, or form? And I don't see any of that. I just think, you know what? I think his strength is how steady he is and how consistent he is. And I think that's one of the biggest things that the players appreciate about him is there's no significant ups and downs. I mean, look, obviously you've seen him fired up after a game and things like that, but he's not the kind of guy that's going to freak out, lash out, and start making players, you know, feel like they're on edge. And I was honestly thinking about that earlier this week as I watched him and did a couple things with him and just thought to myself, look, this is the same guy. You know, we're at a really, really intense part of the season. Yeah, you got a 2-game lead, but we also know how quickly, if you don't right the ship, that those things can go sideways on you. So, look, I think he's playing to his strengths, which is who he is. And he said last week or earlier this week, he said, look, I'm not going to change who I am. And I think that's the best way to play this thing. Just be who you are. That's what's gotten him to this point. That's what's got these players ready to you know, work for him. And look, there's no doubt in my mind that he's letting them know where they are and what's at stake and what you have to do. But at the same time, there's a way to make it bigger than it actually is, and that makes it more difficult for the players. So just stay steady, work on execution, understand who you are, and get back to what I talked about before. At its core, you're not asking these guys to do anything superhuman or anything more than what they've done before and what's brought them success in the past. And I think that's what he's doing.
I agree.
Dan, thanks for doing this. My man, know it's a different week for you as well with the game on Saturday night. And I do want to make mention that the game, although it's an NFL Network game, it will be simulcast on Fox 2 locally in Detroit. So on Saturday morning, they have their pregame show, 10 a.m., Fox 2, all that great stuff. Dan Miller, voice of the Lions. And, of course, Fox 2 Sports Director. Thank you, Dan.
Sunday morning in our regular slot, too, there.
Oh, yeah, coming back Sunday morning.
We're taking the short night. We got Greg Cantor, our producer, pulling an all-nighter to get the show together. So we'll be 10 a.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday, and the game 8 o'clock and all that on Fox 2.
Sweet.
Love it. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it, bud. Appreciate it. So there you have it. There's the programming there on Fox 2. We appreciate Dan for doing this. He's got all different kinds of things going on this week.